She deserves it more, he said, signing away our house to his assistant. I lost everything while 8 months pregnant. 3 years later, she called from jail. Only you know where the real money is. I laughed and replied, wrong number. I hung up and went back to frosting my daughter's 3rd birthday cake. Chocolate with strawberry filling, her favorite. My phone immediately rang again. Please, Valerie. I know you hate me, but hate requires energy I don't waste on you, Jessica. I balanced the phone on my shoulder, adding rainbow sprinkles. What I know is that you're in federal custody, you're scared, and you think I'm stupid enough to help. Goodbye. They're charging me with embezzlement, money laundering, conspiracy. 20 years, Valerie. 20 years. Sounds like a you problem. It was all Brandon. Every bit of it. I didn't know. Like you didn't know he was married? Like you didn't know I was pregnant when you started sleeping with him? Like you didn't know the divorce papers you helped him prepare were fraudulent? I set down the frosting knife. Jessica, you knew everything. You just didn't care. Silence. Then quieter. He told me about the offshore accounts. Said you knew where. Stop. My voice could have frozen hell. Whatever scheme you two were running, whatever money you stole, wherever you hid it, that's between you, him, and the FBI. Leave me out of it. But he said you. Brandon said a lot of things. I love you. I'll never leave you. The baby will make us stronger. All lies. Why would this be different? I hung up again, blocked her number, and finished the cake. 3 candles. 3 years since my world imploded. 3 years of rebuilding from nothing. But that wasn't quite true, was it? I hadn't started from nothing. I'd started from less than nothing. From the pit Brandon and Jessica had thrown me into. The memory still burned. 8 months pregnant, swollen and exhausted, watching my husband of 7 years hand over our house keys to his 25-year-old assistant. She needs it more, he'd said, not even looking at me. You'll be fine. You always land on your feet. The divorce had been swift and brutal. Somehow, Brandon had convinced the judge that his income was minimal, that the house was leveraged beyond value, that his retirement accounts were empty. Jessica had sat in the courtroom, her hand on his knee, wearing the earrings I'd gotten for our 5th anniversary. I'd gotten $500 a month in child support. No alimony. No assets. Nothing but a newborn baby and the clothes on my back. Mommy, cake? My daughter Emma toddled into the kitchen, her dark curls bouncing. The only good thing she'd inherited from her father. After dinner, sweet pea. Go wash your hands. As she scampered off, I thought about those first brutal months. Living in a shelter because no landlord would rent to an unemployed new mother. Pumping breast milk in gas station bathrooms between job interviews. Crying silently so Emma wouldn't wake as I calculated whether I could afford both diapers and formula. Brandon had been living in our 4-bedroom house with Jessica, posting photos of their vacations to Cabo, their new Mercedes, their wine country weekends. Living my best life, the captions always read. Meanwhile, I'd been living on food stamps and fury. The turning point came when I'd run into Diane Morrison at the grocery store. Diane had been Brandon's first work wife before Jessica. Before me, actually. We'd never spoken before. Brandon had made sure of that. Valerie? Oh my God, I heard what happened. That bastard. I'd stood there, Emma strapped to my chest, trying not to cry over the formula I couldn't afford. Listen, Diane had said, lowering her voice. I worked with Brandon for 6 years. I know things. About his side businesses. Things Jessica's probably doing now. If you ever want to talk. She'd slipped me her card and disappeared. I'd carried it for weeks before finally calling. Diane's information had been golden. Not about hidden money. I'd never found any, but about Brandon's patterns. His methods. The way he used his position as CFO of a medical supply company to skim from accounts, hide assets, move money through shell companies. He's been doing it for years, Diane had explained over coffee. Small amounts. Smart about it. But Jessica, she's greedier than I ever was. Sloppier. She'll push him to take bigger risks. She'd been right. I'd taken that knowledge and done something Brandon never expected. I'd gotten smart. Accounting classes at night while Emma slept. Forensic accounting certification. A job at a firm that specialized in financial crimes. I'd learned to follow money trails like breadcrumbs, to spot patterns in spreadsheets like reading tea leaves. I'd never used it against Brandon. What was the point? He'd already taken everything. But apparently, the FBI had found their own breadcrumbs. That evening, after Emma's party, small, just us and a few friends from daycare, I sat on my tiny apartment's balcony with my laptop. Curiosity got the better of me. The arrests had made the news. Brandon Hayes, former CFO of MedSupply Solutions, charged with embezzling $2.4 million over 5 years. Jessica Thornton, executive assistant, charged as co-conspirator. The FBI had frozen their assets, seized the house, impounded the cars. But the real story was in the details. Jessica hadn't just been helping Brandon steal, she'd been stealing from him. Siphoning from his siphoning. The FBI had found separate accounts in her name, money Brandon didn't know about. The scorpion had stung the frog halfway across the river. Poetic. My phone rang. Unknown number. Val, it's me. They let me have one call. Brandon. From federal lockup. I almost laughed. Bold of you to call the ex-wife you left pregnant and penniless. I know I have no right to ask. Correct. Goodbye. Wait. Please. They're saying 25 to life. Life, Val. I need you to tell them. Tell them what? That you're a good person? That you made mistakes? That you deserve mercy. I watched Emma through the window, playing with the dollhouse I'd bought secondhand, and restored myself. Where was my mercy, Brandon? Where was Emma's? I'm sorry. I was stupid. Jessica, she. Stop. Do not blame the 25-year-old for your choices. You were 42. You were her boss. You knew exactly what you were doing. I'll make it right. I'll pay real child support. With what? Your frozen assets? Your seized house? Your impounded cars? I laughed. You have nothing left to give, Brandon. Just like you left me with nothing. There's money, he said desperately. Money they don't know about. In the Caymans. Almost $1 million. I'll sign it all over to you and Emma if I what? Lie to the FBI? Say you were a good husband? A good father? Risk my freedom for yours. Silence. I'm recording this call, by the way. I lied smoothly. Thanks for the confession about the Cayman accounts. I'm sure the FBI will be very interested. He cursed and hung up. I sat there thinking. $1 million in hidden offshore accounts. Money that should have been Emma's all along. Money stolen from his company, hidden from the divorce court, kept from his child. I opened my laptop again and started typing. Not to help Brandon or Jessica. They'd made their choices. But maybe, just maybe, there was a legal way to recover what had been stolen from Emma. By morning, I drafted a letter to the federal prosecutor. As the ex-wife and mother of Brandon's child, I had standing to make a claim on any recovered assets. The divorce decree stated I was entitled to half of all marital assets Brandon had hidden. The child support arrears alone, properly calculated based on his real income, would be substantial. I also included a timeline. Every vacation he'd taken while claiming poverty. Every luxury purchase while Emma and I lived in shelters. Every transaction I'd traced through public records and social media posts. The prosecutor called me personally 2 days later. Mrs. Hayes? This is Maria Gonzalez from the U.S. Attorney's Office. Your letter was illuminating. It's Ms. Carter now. I took my maiden name back. Of course. We'd like to meet. Your information about the hidden assets, the pattern of financial abuse during your divorce, it's very helpful. And you may be entitled to significant restitution. I don't want their blood money. I want what they stole from my daughter. We understand. Can you come in Thursday? I could. I did. I brought 3 years of documentation. Every missed payment. Every lie to the court. Every piece of evidence that Brandon had defrauded not just his company, but his own child. The investigation expanded. Suddenly, it wasn't just embezzlement. It was tax evasion, fraud, perjury in divorce proceedings. The Cayman account Brandon had mentioned? Just the tip of the iceberg. Jessica cracked first. Faced with 20 years, she flipped on Brandon completely. Provided passwords, account numbers, transaction records. Everything. Brandon held out longer, but when he realized Jessica had turned, he folded too. Tried to make a deal. Claimed he'd been manipulated, that Jessica had masterminded it all. The prosecutor called me with updates. They're both looking at 15 to 20 now. And Ms. Carter? The restitution order will include full back child support calculated on his actual income, plus interest and penalties. Current estimate is $1.8 million. Emma's college fund thanks you. There's more. The house, your former marital home, will be liquidated. As a defrauded spouse, you have first claim on those proceeds. The house where Brandon had handed Jessica my keys. Where they'd lived while Emma and I struggled. It would be Emma's now, transformed into her future. 6 months later, I sat in the courtroom as Brandon and Jessica were sentenced. 15 years each. They'd both aged a decade in months. Jessica's designer clothes replaced with federal beige. Brandon's confident smirk replaced with hollow defeat. The judge addressed them before sentencing. You didn't just steal from a corporation. You stole from a child. You perpetrated fraud not just on the financial system, but on the family court system. You left a pregnant woman homeless while living in luxury on stolen funds. The depravity of your actions is stunning. Jessica sobbed. Brandon stared at the table. As they were led away, Brandon looked at me. Mouthed, "I'm sorry." I didn't respond. Apologies don't pay rent. They don't buy formula. They don't erase 3 years of struggle. But $1.8 million in restitution? That could erase a lot of damage. Emma started private preschool the next month. We moved to a real house, small but ours. I set up college funds, trust accounts, emergency savings. Everything Brandon had denied her, secured forever. At her 4th birthday party, bigger this time, with ponies and a bounce house, Emma asked about her daddy for the first time. Where is he? Far away, baby. Is he coming back? No, sweet pea. He's not. Okay. She'd run off to play, untroubled. She didn't need Brandon. She had me. She had security. She had a future. That night, I found an old photo from our wedding. Brandon and me, young and hopeful. I'd loved him once. Trusted him with everything. He'd taken that trust and burned it all down for a younger woman and easy money. But from those ashes, I'd built something better. A career. Independence. Justice. And Jessica? The work wife who got everything in the divorce? She got exactly what she deserved. A federal prison cell and 15 years to think about it. Karma might be slow, but she keeps excellent records. And sometimes, she has a little help from a scorned ex-wife with a forensic accounting degree and nothing left to lose.